The business of war is growing, and not just because of the Ukraine war. The arms industry has been doing relatively well for itself for years. The year 2021 was the 7th consecutive year that the industry grew. But perhaps surprisingly, all is not well for weapons merchants. The war in Ukraine could actually slow down arms sales in the years ahead. Our next report brings you all the details.
In 2021, the global arms industry grew by 1.9%. It was the 7th straight year of growth. This is according to Stockholm International Peace Institute. They released this latest report on Monday. We'll have to wait an entire year to see the effects of the Ukraine war on the arms industry. But weapon makers may not be in for a good year. Why? Because of supply issues. Issues caused by the war in Ukraine. First, let's look at what the arms industry report says. When the last decade began, arms sales were down. But that's because Chinese companies weren't included in the list till 2015, which is why you see the big jump that year. But let's focus on 2014. The last time Russia invaded Ukrainian territory, arms sales actually fell that year. Counterintuitive, right? But you have to consider sanctions. Russian firms were hit with sanctions that slowed their growth. Companies in other countries could not do business with the Russians, and that meant delays. Russia struggled to access advanced components, such as chips. It slowed down their production of finished weapons, such as military aircraft. This is an example of how sanctions can cripple supply chains. It works the other way too. Nations who buy components from Russia would have to switch suppliers, and arms deals take time to conclude. Let's look at China next. China's arms industry grew by 6.3% last year. But now the US has stopped exporting advanced chips to China. China may look at other markets for the advanced chip technology, both internally and externally. But it will take time. Thus, the growth of China's arms industry may slow down in 2022. And it isn't just sanctions that can slow the growth of the military-industrial complex. The pandemic affected the industry in the last few years. COVID crippled supply chains and slowed down production, and the pandemic hasn't gone away. So, are we headed to a world with less weapons? Considering that Russia, Ukraine, and Ukraine's allies are all using up their weapon stockpiles? Not necessarily. New centers of weapons manufacturing are emerging, such as South Korea. It has signed a record arms deal with Poland. The deal is worth over $12 billion. Seoul has already more than doubled its arms exports since last year. Then there's India. India has 2 companies in the list of top 100 arms companies: Hindustan Aeronautics Limited and Bharat Electronics Limited. Arms sales for the firms grew by 6.7% and 20% respectively. Orders for Indian weapons have been going up in recent years. If Asia's new arms dealers continue to grow, arms sales may still increase in 2022. But as inflation cripples countries, perhaps ensuring citizens' safety should be given a higher priority. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
WION World is One is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.